Hi, I'm Paul. We're doing Leetcode must-know interview questions. Today's question is summary ranges, rating, easy. I discourage people from saying that anything is easy before they actually do it, but this is a pretty easy question. You are given a sorted, unique integer array, nums. A range, A to B, is the set of all integers from A to B inclusive. I think an example is helpful with this. I didn't really understand it the first time I read through it. Return the smallest sorted list of ranges that cover all the numbers in the array exactly. That is, each element of nums is covered by exactly one of the ranges. There is no integer x such that x is in one of the ranges but not in nums. Each range should be output as A arrow B if A is not equal to B, A or just A if A equals B. All right. Let me give you an intuition of how this is going to work. Looking at, let's look at example 1. All right. So the first three numbers are in sequence. So they are output as a sequence from 0 to 2. The next two numbers are also a sequence, 4 and 5, so they get output as a sequence, 4 and 5. 7 is not part of a sequence, so it just gets output by itself. So we can use a couple of pointers here. Let's call them I and J, and they're both going to start at index 0, okay? And now we're going to let index j run as far as it can as long as the numbers are sequential. All right, so it's going to go, it's going to take the number 0, it's going to take the number 1, it's going to take the number 2, and then it's going to have to stop. So we now have index I, which is pointed at 0. We have index j, which is pointed at 2. And that gives us our first range, 0 to 2. Okay, so we output that, and then we move I and j to the next element, which is 4. Now again, we're going to let j run as long as the numbers are sequential. So it's going to go to 5, and it's going to have to stop. But again, I and j define the range, 4 and 5. Output that. We go to 7. There isn't any place to go from 7. J can't go anywhere, and I can't go anywhere. Really, the loop runs until I exceeds the length of the array. So that's what we're going to do. Let's try and put it into code. All right, the return type is a list of strings. So let's define a list of strings so that we can return the result. All right. Now, let's see, we need a start, I called them I and J, but, for the purposes of coding, it probably makes more sense to call them something like start index and end index. All right, let me scoot this over a little bit. 4 int start index equals 0 end index we're not going to initialize that here. We're going to run the loop until, as long as start index is less than nums dot length, and every time through this loop we are going to reset start index to end index plus, I still don't have enough room. Okay, let's move it over a little bit more. Maybe I should put this on more than one line. That's all right. End index plus 1. Now this is going to have a nested loop, but it's not. It's still an O of n argument, because the nested loop is just going to go forward from the start index, and the start index is going to jump each time through the for loop. The inner loop is just the loop where we let j run forward from I for as far as it can sequentially. After which, you can see from the for statement, after which, oh, I keep saying j. We're going to let end index run, but after that, we're going to jump the start index to end index plus 1. So we're just going to process every element one time. All right. So through the for loop, all right, end index starts at start index. All right, while end index plus 1, I mean, we're going to let this run, but we can't let it run past the length of the array. While it's less than the length of the array, and nums end index plus 1 equals nums end index. Whoops. Too many, oh, I see. Nums end index plus 1. That is, if the next number in the array is 1 greater than the current number. So while we have sequential numbers, just increment the end index. I mean, the work of creating the sequences will happen when the sequence ends. All right, and that would be right here. So if we drop out of that while loop, it means we don't have any more sequential numbers. So now we have to add a range to the result, and we could do that in line here. I encourage you in coding interviews to make use of obvious helper methods. I mean, think about helper methods, or think of not so obvious helper methods. But you want to demonstrate, among other things, not just that you can solve the problem, but that you understand modular construction, that not everything has to be one method. So this one is pretty obvious. We could say result.add and call a method to create these range strings. So that's a good name for a method. Create range string. All right, we'll pass in the array. We'll pass in the indexes. And index. And once we finish the for loop, we can return result. Okay. Let's copy that. Now we have to write that method. Class solution. Okay. That is going to go here. We can say it's going to return a string. It's called create range string. The input is going to be an array of integers and a start and end, also both integers. Return. Well, there's two possibilities here. One is that start and end are the same number, in which case we don't really have a sequence. We just have a single number. So let's say start equal end. I'm going to use a ternary operator here. Ternary operators are one of those things that programmers have, well, some programmers have very strong feelings about ternary operators. They don't like them. But then some programmers really like ternary operators. I really like ternary operators. I mean, I don't like them enough that I'm going to spend all day arguing with you about it, but I like them. Keep in mind, though, if you use ternary operators, you'll run into people who object. All right, so if start equals end, so we've got an integer here. We can say integer dot to string nums start. All right. So that's just a string containing a single integer. If, this is going to be kind of long. Let's do it like this. If start does not equal end, we can format an output string. It would be an integer followed by an arrow, followed by another integer that would contain nums start and nums there it is. All right, let's take that off. That bracket should be there. Nums end index plus 1, that's the next number, should be 1 greater than the current number. Try it again. Okay, that's better. Let's give ourselves some room here. And then submit it. Later. Wow, that's pretty good. Okay. Well, I mean, it's just a difference of a few milliseconds, but how did the memory stack up? Oh, even the memory stacked up very nicely. I can't say exactly what people what people are doing out here, because I can only think of one, you know, kind of obvious way of doing this. But anyway, all right. So yeah, I think the last one, the last problem we did was kind of an outlier out here as far as the time. But so good memory use, good time. All right, that's it for this time. I hope you enjoyed it. Please feel free to like, subscribe, comment, and see you next time.